Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of The Robin's Nest. And once again, a slightly different podcast as I am here in my house, as is our special guest. Because of the coronavirus crisis, and the advice, as ever, is to stay inside and only go out for those essential reasons if you need medicine, if you need food, or if you're a key worker. So today on our special podcast, I can introduce our guest, none other than Ashley Williams. Ashley, hello, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Hi.
Welcome to our very special podcast. Now, first of all, tell us a little bit about where you are and what we can see. It looks like you're in a photographic studio to me.
No, I'm just at home, obviously, as everyone is at the minute, and I'm just in the one room that I can probably get a little bit of. I can hide from the kids a little bit. They don't come in this room, so yeah, we've got this lovely green wallpaper behind me.
How involved do you get in home decor, Ash?
Not very. Kind of just see what happens when once it's done. I'm not too interested, to be honest. But then, you know what it's like. You kind of get sucked in a little bit, but I try and stay as far away from it as possible as I can.
I guess it's nice in a way to be spending so much time at home because the family are up north, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Manchester, and that is the flip side. If there is a positive to this, is that I can spend more time with the kids and stuff. And now the kids are off school, they love it. They think that it's a big holiday of some sort with not like 6 weeks holiday, and obviously normally that falls on pre-season time. So I'm not normally here for the 6 weeks holiday or the 7 weeks, whatever they get now. On the flip side, it is nice to be able to spend a bit more time with them.
I guess now does sort of feel a little bit like pre-season, doesn't it? With I guess a bit more downtime. How are you kind of coping with that, and how are you sort of keeping yourself fit during this time?
Well, for me personally, I think that I'm a little bit more. I've got a bit more experience in this kind of keeping fit because before I signed for City, I was doing this exact same thing, which is bizarre because the season had started and I didn't have a football team, so I was doing my own workouts, um, and it felt very similar to now. So I've kind of just gone back to what I was doing before I came down to Bristol. So it's not that different for me. That it's just like doing what I was doing, a few months ago.
Let's talk a little bit about that career because what a CV. When was the moment, Ashley Williams, or Ashley Errol Williams, I should say, which I think is probably the coolest middle name in football. Was it after anybody in particular?
After my dad, yeah, my dad's called Errol Williams.
Oh, fantastic. And I've been cursed with Clayton, so it doesn't get much worse than
I quite like
that.
that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad one to
So
have.
it always reminds me of Clayton Blackmore, Manchester United in the sort of early 90s.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
anyway, the CV is amazing. At what point did Ashley Errol Williams realise that he could potentially be a professional footballer?
Um, I'm not sure really because I think with my career was so gradual. It was just little milestones and little targets and goals. So it wasn't. At no point did I have the vision of like playing in the Premier League or on the international level or winning a trophy or any of that. It was more just always trying to gradually get to the next level, the next league, or in that establish myself in that certain team. So it was really gradual until the point where I just kind of realised that I'm an established Premier League player without realising it, if that makes sense.
And the sort of process to go through, how much as a youngster did you have to sacrifice for football? Because obviously, to get to the level that you are at and that you achieved, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I did sacrifice quite a lot in terms of the usual teenager kind of lifestyle and growing up, and even as an adult, and I missed out on quite a lot of stuff, as probably a lot of people do. But there is a lot of sacrifices in terms of traveling away a lot, and making sure you're looking after yourself, not doing the things that all your friends are doing, or you have to miss that night out or that party or that person's birthday celebrations, or probably all of us with kids have had the same thing. You miss the first day of school, or you miss I don't know, their birthdays or whatever it might be. So there is a lot of sacrifices on it, and I think in the period between when I was, say, 16 years old to 18, 19, that was the time that I really buckled down, and I thought that I'm going to give it a go, give it my all, and if I don't make it, then fair enough. At least I know I'll give it my all, and it didn't work, and that was the time when I didn't really leave the house at all, and I just went training and rested, and then did the whole thing again, and then I think that was probably one of the most important periods of my own career.
You did, however, manage to do some part-time jobs on the way up. I've got a few here. Apparently, you worked at a petrol station, you were a waiter at a beefeater, and you worked at Drayton Manor Park and Zoo.
Yep, all correct. Yeah, all correct. Was the worst waiter you'll ever find ever. I just used to always forget about tables for some reason. I couldn't get my head around being a waiter. Well, my school, the school that I went to, it kind of just works out that everyone that leaves school goes straight to Drayton Manor to work for some reason. I don't know why that is. So that was the usual pass. I went with all my friends. That was a laugh. When I used to work on the games, not the rides. So it was two different companies. So all the throwing games and all of that. And that was actually good fun because all my friends were there every day, and started to earn a little bit of money. Yeah, the petrol station, that was used to serve all the Aston Villa players because it was over in Sutton Coldfield as well. So yeah, I've done a few jobs, and it was something that people always talk about, but it was probably good grounding for me.
And when you were in doing those growing up years, did you follow football? Did you have a team? Who did you support from being a youngster?
Yeah, my team was always Liverpool from when I was really young, and used to love John Barnes. It's a bit different once I got, especially into the Premier League. I didn't really, I kind of just dropped off with supporting them, and then me and the Liverpool fans had a bit of a. I wouldn't say, we wasn't each other's greatest fans, so that kind of went completely out the window once I started playing against the team. But growing up, I was a big Liverpool fan, which Liverpool fans didn't really particularly like me, and the Everton fans didn't like me either for that. So the whole city didn't really like me.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask, of course, as a Liverpool fan and then playing for Everton and then having to play Liverpool. Did that cause weird feelings for you?
Not particularly, because by that time I wasn't really a Liverpool fan anymore. I grew up supporting Liverpool, but football was more of a job in terms of, I wouldn't support any team really. I was playing against all these teams, and when I was playing for Swansea. So I think the only, a big moment for me was playing at Anfield with Swansea. That was one thing that I always wanted to do, and that was a bit of a weird feeling. But playing for Everton against Liverpool it wasn't weird. It was just trying to obviously do my best for Everton.
Yeah, I guess there comes a moment in your life when you go from football being a hobby to football being a job. And then I guess everything does slightly change about how you view football then.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way around it. It doesn't mean that you lose enjoyment for it, or you lose interest. It's just, I think you look at it completely different how somebody that doesn't play football looks at it. So um, it's more of a job, and it's something that you're analysing and you're trying to get better at, and you're trying to beat teams, and you're trying to win for your team, and you're not really celebrating so much. You're starting to look at teams that are placed around you in the league, and you want those teams to win instead of the team that you liked. And Yeah, it's just even now, it's like you go to work, which is, a great job to do, and then you come back and then your kids want to play football in the garden with you, and it's a bit like, oh, I've just done this for all morning and now, and the kids want to play. So, obviously, I think all footballers love football, and we always will, and grew up loving it. But it does change a little bit when it becomes your full-time job, just on the way that you view it.
Was there any joy early on in the season when we won at Cardiff? Of course, having played previously for Swansea and that huge rivalry there.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game, and I think it's been 12 years since I moved to Wales and signed for Swansea, and the Zacks. I've been playing for Wales, the national team, for 12 years as well. So it's always been a bit of a ding dong thing with the Cardiff fans in terms of me being the captain, and we went through a whole period of me being a Swansea player and the captain, and then I think once Wales achieved success, we all kind of bonded, and that we played all our home games at the Cardiff Stadium, so they kind of got a bit more friendly towards us, and then it just kept going back and forward, and I think we've got in terms of their fan base, it's been a really good ride, and it's something that I've enjoyed, playing against them and stuff. And this game, for City, was a big one for me because I knew there'd be a bit of focus on me, and I would get a bit of stick, and to win 1-0 away, it was a good day. That was probably one of my favourite games so far this season.
The Welsh thing's very interesting. You qualified for Wales through your grandfather. When you signed for Swansea, obviously, I think it was their record transfer fee at the time. Now, how do you, as a person, as a human being, deal with those kind of numbers and that kind of thing in your head, that you're worth a certain amount of money and so on? And obviously a very proud moment for your family. But does it sort of get in your head, that kind of stuff?
I don't. It was a long time ago now, but I don't think it did. I can't remember having that thought. And in today's money, it was nothing. It was £400,000, and I'd come from Stockport, and I just couldn't wait to get in there. It was Roberto Martinez that was playing this style of football. I wanted to get involved straight away. I didn't really think about the price tag. It was more, moving from Manchester down to the bottom corner of another country, kind of, and all that comes with that. I didn't think so much about the numbers, and I never really have. For me, it's just always been about trying to impress my teammates more than anyone else. So when I went in there, it would have been trying to impress my teammates, so where I felt like I was part of it. I was going up a league, and that was in the March, and it was pretty clear that Swansea were going up again to the Championship. So I was going to jump 2 leagues. So it was just really more about trying to prove that I was where I should be more than the price tag.
So second tier of football in 07-08, and then promotion in 10-11. The Ashley Williams effect at Swansea was a fantastic one, and the captain's armband as well. What qualifies you to be a captain in that sort of level of football, do you think?
I'm not even sure how this come about, and I was captain for Stockport also at a young age, and I think probably the other people select you as captain, if that makes sense. I know the manager will probably pick the captain, but he'll probably take it off who looks to be the leader of a group of men. And for some reason, I've always been that. I've always enjoyed that role, and I've always enjoyed taking responsibility for the team. Even at Stoke or now or Everton, I might not be wearing the armband, but I'll always try and help wherever I can. And sometimes that might just be taking a back seat, or sometimes that might be speaking up or helping the guy with the armband, whatever it is. So I think it's just natural for me, and people always have seemed to gravitate towards me in terms of what should we do here, or how should we deal with this? And it's just been a natural thing, really. And the whole Swan being the captain of Swansea and with Wales really. It was something I was proud of, and it was something that I tried to do the best that I could do in that role, because you're representing so many people, and you're kind of the with you and the manager, you're kind of the figurehead of the whole club. So it was something that I tried to step up to and really take seriously as a job.
Yeah, Chris Coleman gave you the Welsh armband in 2012. Did you see it coming? Were you expecting it, or was it a total surprise?
Well, I had it before. I had it before, and then Gary Speed changed it to Aaron Ramsey, and he spoke to us all about that, and I was fine when he came in. And then Chris Coleman asked to meet me in Swansea, and I met him, and he was like, "I'm going to change it. I don't think it's working." I spoke to Aaron; he's fine with it. Would you take it back? And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So yeah, so then at that point we wasn't doing very well either. So it was a tough job, and I think the national team captain is a lot bigger job than a club team captain, in terms of you don't get to see the lads so much. You only see them for a week, and then every time there's a game, the whole country's watching, and when it's not going well, you feel it a little bit more.
How often do you keep in touch when you're part of an international squad like that? Is there a WhatsApp group? Do you chat, away from those international breaks as well?
Yeah, we did. We didn't always, I don't think, for a good few years, and then we was quite fortunate in terms of we all came together at a young age. Was really bad for a long time. We went through a lot of stuff. We went through the death of Gary Speed, and we went through being a really bad team for years, and we all kind of grew up together for 7, 8 years. We all grew into men, and then it just kind of clicked. So by that time, we were so close. It was almost like it was as close as a club team. And we'd speak every day on the WhatsApp group. And I don't think that maybe other teams have that, other national teams. I'm not sure. But we didn't at first. But then we became, especially that 2016 Euros team was so close. And, we still speak now. In 2020, we still speak on our group chat. So I think we'd just been through so much at a young age that we just naturally brought us all together so tightly.
2016 was obviously a fantastic year. Wales' first major tournament for more than half a century. I guess the obvious question is that a career highlight for you, a standout moment, especially, of course, scoring in the quarterfinals against Belgium?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of a few, and I think I'll be hard pushed to choose one. And I've been fortunate to have achieved a few things that I thought I never would. But I think the whole European campaign, and especially on a personal level, the goal against Belgium was, something that I'll always look back on as such a highlight in my career. That whole summer was, one of the best summers of our lives, really, if you was involved in it, and that's fans and staff and players and anyone that was involved in that whole campaign. And to do what we did and get as far as we did when we didn't even think, we would get that far, was just, it's just fun memories when you look back on it.
And playing at that international level and having the experience that you do, of course, our young Joe Morelle being recognised on the international stage now. And whilst you haven't played with him at City necessarily, have you sat him down and given him some tips?
No, not yet. I've spoke to him a few times, and I haven't seen him that much, to be honest. There's only a couple of camps, and he's played, and he's been really good. I've been really impressed with him. And what's more impressive to me, anyway, is just the way he conducts himself, and he seems very level-headed and polite, and you don't always get that, I don't think, in the younger players today. And he just goes about his business, and every time he plays, he's played in some big games for us in the last campaign, and he played really well. And if you look at the other midfield players that he's playing against, some of the best in the world, Modric and Rakitic and and these kind of guys. So and he's held his own, if not, imposed himself on the game. So I don't know him so well, but obviously we've had a chat with me being at City and him obviously playing for City as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on him because I think he's going to be one of the bigger players, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with him when he comes back to Bristol.
Who are the lads you hang out with then at Bristol City? Who are your big chums?
There's a few actually. So I live in the same apartment block as a few: Andy Vineman and Marley Watkins, Nathan Baker, Antoine Semenyo. Very close to obviously Bennett because I knew him from the year before. Casey Palmer, me and Casey's probably my best friend there. Jack Hunt I knew before. A lot of the guys, I think it's I know everyone probably says it about their team, but it is a really good, tight dressing room, and that was one of the main things when I came straight away. I was like, oh yeah, I can get involved in this because the lads are all sound, and you don't always get that in football. There's always a few that probably you're not keen on or that don't fit the group, and this is a real nice mixture of lads.
If you were broken down at the side of the road with a puncture at 3 a.m, which of the squad would you phone, and would they come and help you?
I would phone either. I'd probably phone Rene Gilmartin because he just looks like he'll know what to do with the tyre, and I'd like to think he'd come and help me. If he didn't know what to do, he could always lift the car up and just carry it on his shoulders. He's so big anyway. So that'd be my go-to.
Do you have like nicknames for each other? What do you call the boys? What do the boys call you?
No, I haven't got a nickname that I know about. Maybe they call me something behind my back. I'm not sure. I'm sure it'd be something to do with my age because I'm so much older than everyone there. But there's no unusual nicknames that I can think of. Just the usual ones that you'd imagine, I think. Or maybe that I can't talk about. Sorry. Maybe there's some, but I can't talk about them. Sorry.
You talk about your age. You mentioned it there briefly. Is that something that you are conscious of on a regular basis?
Sometimes, and I think it's something that I have to be aware of in terms of playing physically to know what I can and can't do, and I can't do everything that I used to do, and I'll probably need a little bit more recovery and certain things. And just in terms of, it's quite funny day to day because, I'm not, we're talking some of the guys that I'm having a conversation with. I'm 15 years older than, and their music choices and things. And then that's when I start to feel like the granddad because I don't know what they're talking about or the new in thing. I don't know what it is. And they're laughing at me because I don't know how to do certain things on my phone and I have to go to them for how do I do this? I just set up the iPad and they're all laughing at me and stuff. So it's all right. But I like to think that I can still relate to them on a certain level. They'll probably say they laugh at me a lot of the time, so I just don't know what they're talking about.
Are you on TikTok?
Not on TikTok and never will be. I can't do I don't know if this is my age or what it is. I don't know, but I can't be doing the whole TikTok, all that kind of jazz, and that's why they laugh at me because I'm just not cool when it comes to things like that.
Oh man, don't worry. I have no idea what TikTok is either. Let's get back to football for a sec. The club level football we talked about international, but then of course with Swansea and with Everton there was obviously international games as well. So how was that kind of? Obviously you performed on the international stage, but then like the European stage and the Premier League action and some of the clubs obviously. You hear the stories, don't you, that they change their clocks to stick to the same structure as they would have been at home. Is that something that you've experienced?
Yeah, we do that most of the time with Wales, where we can, and also on European games, especially when, say, Europa League game, you'll fly out Wednesday, play Thursday, and then you'll either fly back after the games Thursday or Friday morning, and sometimes you're gonna fly straight into an away game and stay there on the Saturday as well. So it just makes sense where you can to stay on the UK time instead of trying to change back. But only where, sometimes if you're going too far, it doesn't really work out properly. But it just makes it a lot easier. And even in terms of meeting times, lunch times, dinner times, and stuff, people are still on the same time because you always get that one person that misses a meeting because they haven't changed their watch or whatever it is.
And does that sort of seem weird? Does it sort of help you, or does it sort of make it even more confusing when you're having to do that?
No, I think it makes it easier, even in terms of speaking to people and knowing what time it is back home, and especially when it's the short space ones, like one night or two nights away, you can just stay on your own time. Everything stays the same, food and etc. It can get a little bit weird. I think we did it in Azerbaijan, and then you're kind of I can't remember how it worked out, if we were staying up late or going to bed early or whatever in terms of their time. But majority of the time, it's funny because people say, or like sometimes you talk to people and they say, "Oh, it's amazing you've been able to see the world and stuff," and I'm like, not particularly. I've seen a lot of hotels and airports, but you go to all these countries playing football and you don't really see anything. It's the same hotel room or the same airport and stuff. So, it's not like when we go there for a night or two, it's not like we're going and doing things at different times. We're in our hotel anyway, so we just stay on the UK time, and just kind of makes it more simpler for everyone, especially when you're coming back as well.
And you spend a lot of time, of course, doing these away trips, whether it be international, whether it be club level, whether it be European games. Who have you roomied with? Who have been brilliant roommates? Who have been terrible roommates?
Well, for until I came to Bristol, I'd never had a roommate. My last roommate was Nathan Dyer at Swansea, and he was a really good roommate, one of my best friends. And then I'd always roomed on my own. And then I came to Bristol, and the first away game, which my first away game was Stoke, I opened the door and Bakes was in there. I thought I'd got the wrong room, and he was like, "Oh, you're in with me," and I was like, "Okay, cool, that was fine." He just sleeps the whole time. The whole It was like rooming on my own anyway because he's just asleep with his legs hanging off the end of the bed because he's so long. And then I'm normally the lads have the same roommate here at Bristol, but for some reason I'm the spare one, so I get passed to whoever's just come back into the squad or what. I don't know why that is. I was with Big Nicky for a while, and then I've been with Corey Smith, Tommy Rowe. They're all actually quite chilled and yeah, they're quite easy to um, to room with. I'm not trying to think of any stories, but there's nothing really, and they're all pretty chilled. But yeah, as I say, all for years for Wales, all my Welsh career and Everton and Stoke, I was always on my own.
And do you have any bad habits, do you think, Ash? People that have to room with you on occasion, have you got any bad habits you know about?
I can watch some weird things. I think if you ask Corey, he's always going on about. I watch a lot of UFO programs and stuff like that, so he thinks I'm a little bit weird. I don't think I have. I'm pretty normal. Go to sleep normal time. Wake up quite early. Um, I think for some of the lads, like Bakes will sleep in till 11, but I'm up at like half 7. But I just think maybe if I get into the room first and put the TV on, then they're gonna have to watch probably a UFO program before the chase starts.
So tell us about this UFO infatuation. So do you believe that aliens exist, Ashley Williams?
No, I'm not. No, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I just have an interest in watching that kind of program for some reason. I don't know if they exist or not, but if I've got nothing to watch, I'll go to a documentary on something which the lads find really weird. So they're always laughing at me with conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
What box sets are you watching at the moment? Have you watched Tiger King yet?
I watched I think 3 episodes, and it was got a bit weird, but I'm going to stick with it and finish it. And nothing. I've not really watched any box sets. I do need to. Uh, I enjoyed The Walking Dead, and I thought about starting The Walking Dead again from the start. But I'm not sure whether to. I'm not sure. I'm going to go for Ozark or what's the other one? Money Heist, but I haven't started on yet.
I can highly recommend Ozark. Ozark's very good. Stick with that, and maybe some your UFO documentaries. They sound intriguing. Whilst we're talking about sort of home life and that sort of stuff, let's just do a few and/ors. So, are you a tea man or are you a coffee man?
I have a coffee first thing in the morning after I go in the gym, and then I'm tea for the rest of the day.
And how do you take your tea?
No sugar, soy milk.
And does the tea bag go in first, or the water, or how does that work?
Tea bag first, then water, then the soy milk, and then strain the tea bag. You're done.
Nice. And around the house, are you a slippers kind of guy, or are you a sliders man?
I'm more of a socks man, to be honest. Like now, I've got nothing on but just socks. But if I wouldn't be sliders around the house, I don't think. Probably slippers. Got some UGG slippers or some Family Guy ones, so I'll probably wear them.
UGG slippers. Are they allowed? What do they look like?
Well, they're not. They're not the UGG boots, which I do see some men wearing. The UGG slipper is it's a premium slipper, I think, for a man. It's very comfortable.
I actually
It's
once
tough.
had a I actually once had a very in-depth discussion with Joe Bryan about slippers, and we did come to the conclusion that UGG slippers were absolutely fine. So that's a box ticked there, I reckon.
I think they're acceptable. The slipper version is definitely acceptable.
Ideal meal. If we were going to come round, what would you cook for us?
Oh, I have to say that since we've been in lockdown, I've become a top. I was always kind of top chef, but I think now I might have to open my own restaurant afterwards. So I'm not. There's many options. My culinary skills have gone. They're up here at the minute. So what would I cook for you? I don't know. I'd have to see what you liked, but we can. I can do anything. It's not a problem for me at the minute.
So is that something that you might? Sorry, go on.
No, I think I do feel like if we had like a football cooking program, I'd be on there definitely. Out of all the footballers, I'd like to think that I can hold my own with anyone right now.
Right. Note to all TV producers: let's make that program. I'll present it, obviously. If you were going to sort of think about post-football career, is that something? Might you open a restaurant, become a chef, that kind of thing?
No, only for the fact that it just looks so stressful. Like I've never seen a chef look like they're enjoying their job. They're always stressed and it's hard work. But no, I don't know it enough. You hear about a lot of football players retiring and then putting their money into different things, and I don't know enough about the restaurant business or anything like that. I think no, I don't think I'd do that. I'm not really sure. I know retirement's not that far away, and I still, that not particularly sure what I want to do.
Let's get back to the football then for now. So contract ended with Everton, then Bristol City came knocking on the door. How easy was that decision to make? Had you been to Bristol before? Do you have any idea what it was like?
I'd obviously played against Bristol lots of times, many times, and I think uh, it was. I spoke to the gaffer on the phone, and as soon as I spoke to him, I knew that I wanted to come. But the Lee Johnson on the phone and the Lee Johnson that I used to play against are two completely different people. So um, when my agent told me that Lee Johnson and Bristol had called about possibility of me going there, I was a bit surprised, but it was more just for the fact that I used to argue with him so much all the time. But I think everyone argued with him all the time. So I was a bit surprised by that. And then once I spoke to him on the phone, I knew that what he's trying to do at Bristol was something that I wanted to be involved in.
But had you spent much time in Bristol whilst obviously you'd played in Bristol a bit? Had you looked around the city? Had you been to Bristol on days out, that kind of thing?
Yeah, a few days out because obviously being in Swansea, your days out options were Cardiff, which you wasn't going to go to very often, or then on to Bristol. So we'd been to Bristol a few times, and been to like Cabot Circus and a little bit, and I knew that I had a feeling that I would enjoy the city, and I do. I really do enjoy being there. That's one of the things that I'm missing about being at home is just being in and around Bristol, and I think it's such an energetic city, and everyone's a vegan there, so that suits me. And I do really like. It's not too big. The city's not too big, but it's not too small either. I think it's just it's a perfect. I'm always in the city centre because that's where I live and that's where I've been since I come down. So I know it well, and it's just a really nice place to be. I think Bristol.
Any tips for where to go? I see you footballers quite a lot doing like brunch or going out for a coffee. This kind of coffee culture, all this kind of stuff. Have you got any tips as to places to go in Bristol for that kind of thing?
Oh, there's loads. It's like the mecca of coffee shops and vegan restaurants. Um, Normally we meet Pato and Naki, and we go to I can't remember what it's called now. It's right by where I live. I can't remember, but there's a lot of coffee shops, and I'm missing Uwe Vegan Diner. That's what I'm really missing. They do the best vegan burgers ever in the world.
There you go. Right, somebody reach out and do a sponsorship deal with those guys. So how are you? How are you at relaxing away from? So obviously that kind of coffee culture, the eating stuff. Do you have any other hobbies? Are you a golfer? Are you a gamer? What else do you get up to in your spare time?
Um, not really any, to be honest. I can't play golf. I've tried. I was gonna buy. So this is another thing the lads were laughing at me about because I said they're all talking about Call of Duty in this game, and I said, well, I'm gonna go and get one today then because I'm in Bristol. I'm on my own, and they was all laughing because I was asking them like, what is it like PS3 and 4 and stuff, and they was just laughing because I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't get one. So I'm not a gamer either. Not much really. I don't mind. I'll read a book. I like reading. I'll watch a series of film, my UFO documentaries. Like if I'm at home, I don't get that much time to do any of that sort of thing with the kids. But when I'm down in Bristol, it's that really. It's just training. Then meet the lads for a coffee, as you say, or for dinner later on in the evening, and then just really just trying to probably a little Netflix binge or Amazon Prime.
And you talk about being at home with the kids. Are they showing any signs of having some football prowess?
Yeah, I've got two boys and a girl, and they're eight. The boys are 8 and 7, and the girl's 5. And the two boys play football. They've been playing for. They played for Man City for I think a year. Then they moved to United for a year, and then they did Everton for a year. So I think so 4, 5. Yeah, so they did all of them for a year, and then they decided they didn't want to do that anymore, and now they play for a team by their school, with some of their school friends and stuff. But it's a good team. It's a little like a local academy, which suits us better because it's easier to get them to train in. So they're good, and the teams like them and stuff. So it's kind of like I'm reliving it all again, or it looks like I'm gonna do it all again, as my dad did with me.
Is it a career you'd recommend to your children?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been it's been an amazing career for me, and I couldn't have asked for any more. One of the other moms from my son's team was asking me the same question the other day, and I said, yeah, I can imagine it to be difficult as a parent watching because it's almost like the only way I can describe it is like anytime you as a person feel that you've failed in something and how bad you feel doing that. On the downside, it's like all of my biggest failures have been in front of thousands and thousands of people. So it is difficult. There's a lot of downsides to it, or difficult times. But if we're going to take the whole picture, all of my greatest achievements have been in front of thousands of people and celebrated with thousands of people. So it's not all great, but it's definitely, the good definitely outweighs the bad. So if I never push them into being football players, but they love football. Everything's football every day, every day, every day. And if they're not watching it, they want to play it. And so if they wanted to do that, then yeah, I'd support them on that, definitely. Yeah.
And in terms of, I guess, the kind of progression up through, if there's parents listening to this that have got children that want to be footballers, that are football obsessed, what tips could you give to them for encouraging them, from that young age? And is there any advice you could give to parents of potential young footballers?
I would say, and especially with, my memories of going through the football system weren't great. I didn't enjoy it. And now I see it with my own children as well. Is just don't don't get caught up in the stress of the situation, or the pressure of trying to make the next cut, or trying to get scouted for a team, or just keep the enjoyment in football. It's a game that's supposed to be enjoyed, and especially whilst they're kids, let them play, let them enjoy themselves with zero pressure. And then if they're good and they want to do it, they'll go and pursue it when they get a little bit older, and then you can support them from that. But I think I've seen it myself in the last few years, parents that are pushing their children and kind of wanting it for themselves, not for the child, and you can see the child's not enjoying it. I don't think that's I don't think there's no longevity in that. The child will get sick of football before they're even an adult. So as me as a parent anyway, I just try and support them, and try and help them wherever I can, if they ask questions, and to take them where they need to be, and then I'll let them play and enjoy themselves.
Great advice. Thanks, Ash. Let's just sort of start to round up here. There's a couple more things I want to ask you. One is very random indeed, but I think probably one is, do you have in your head an age that you'd like to continue playing to? I mean, I guess there's, in certain careers, a retirement age is sort of enforced upon you, but how many years do you think you got left in you, son?
I don't know. I think 35 is the magic number, isn't it? That most people say, well, if you've got to 35, you've been lucky, and I'm here now, and I'll be 36 in August. I don't know. I can't really answer that. I feel good though, and coming to Bristol is I've literally felt as good as I felt for the last few years. So I, I don't know. There's so many factors that go into it. There's family life also. There's being away from the children and from your family home, and just a lot of things that factor in. So I enjoy football. I miss football at times like this, but what I do miss about it is match days, and the game, and being able to compete against other players. I think whilst I can do that, and there's a manager there that's happy with me, and I'm not, I don't feel like I can't do it anymore. I'll probably play. I can't really put a number on it. I always had 35 in my head, but now I'm at 35, and I feel fine, completely fine. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think that I would. I don't know. I can't really answer. I can't give you a number.
Long may it continue. You're feeling good, as far as we're concerned. Anyway, you talk about match days, and you talk about missing those. We all miss those, of course. You've played on some incredible stages. How does Ashton Gate shape up, and how incredible are our fans?
Really good. Honestly, I think that one, Ashton Gate is a really lovely stadium to play in, and the pitch is great to play on. I was so spun out when I came back to Ashton Gate with Stoke. I was trying to say, I remember speaking to Joe Allen, and I was saying, this is a new stadium, and he was like, it's not. It's the same one we used to play in when we played for Swansea. And I was like, it can't. It doesn't. It didn't make sense. The dressing rooms are in different places. How can this be? This is all in the warm up. But it's a really nice stadium to play in, and and the fans also, yeah. No, I think the fans have been with me personally, they've been great. With the team, I think also, and we've had this thing all season with the home form against the away form and whatnot. But I think that probably the fans, if we give the fans a little bit to go off at the start of the game, they'll be with us the whole game. And there's been some nights, especially the evening games, that the atmosphere has been unbelievable. From when walking out the tunnel, you're just ready, and as a football player, that's what you miss. And I think it's just it's so important that the fans continue to give us that bit of inspiration, and us also to give them something to cheer about. But since I've been here, it's been a breath of fresh air. I've been at other places, and I've been at other stadiums and it's not been the same. So, that shouldn't be taken for granted. The fact that the fans are with you and they support you and make your home game environment such a a good one as a player.
And how important is that? And how much of a difference does it make? When the fans are on form, it's loud, it's buzzing. Can you feel that there down on the pitch?
Yeah, definitely. It almost gives you a little boost itself. I think there's three ways it can go. It can either be what you just said, and you're going to get some energy back from that, and you're going to drive, and the whole energy, like almost the unseen energy, is going throughout the team and the fans. Or it can be flat and nothing, and then someone's got to inspire the other one. So whether that's the team have got to inspire the fans or vice versa. And then it can go the complete other way, and it can be a bit toxic, which I've also played in front of lots of times. And then that's just completely that's really difficult to play in front of. So I think in my experience of playing at Ashton Gate so far this season, they've always been with us, and they've made a lot of noise. And as I say, it's been really enjoyable for me to come down there and be involved in just everything to do with the club, from the very top down to the bottom. It just looks like it's going in the right direction, and it's good people throughout it, and everyone's going in the same way. And it's just a really nice place to work, as I'm sure you'll agree.
Absolutely. If you could go back and relive any moment in your entire career, what would it be?
Um, can I choose two?
Of course you can.
Okay, so first one would be the final whistle of the playoff final, when I realised that I'd be in the Premier League. And the second one would be the goal against Belgium and the celebrations, the 10 seconds after it.
That moment when you're going to be playing Premier League football, what goes through your head at that moment? What can you remember?
Um, kind of. I think I got upset actually. I think I was crying, to be honest, if I'm being honest with you. I remember I dropped to the floor and I wanted to hide a bit, and then Nathan Dyer come and found me. And it was I think it's just a moment where you realise that all your dreams have come true and you're gonna play, bar a serious injury, especially at that point, because we knew we wasn't. Some teams, I think, maybe or players get promoted and think, oh well, the club's going to buy a load of players and stuff. We knew we was going to start that first game of the season. So, um, once final whistle went, it was kind of like, well, even if I play one game, no one can ever take that away from me. Um, so it was just, life's work up to that point, realizing that dream.
And can you take us through that goal, that quarter-final goal against Belgium? Do the commentary for it. Take us through. Let's all relive it together, Ash.
Yeah, I know it well because I took Romelu Lukaku through it for a whole 12 months, and he had to listen to it all the time anyway. So because it was his brother was supposed to be marking me, but I think the corner was taken and then it got retaken, and I just knew. Honestly, I'll say it now and I'll say it always. I just knew at the back of my head that and I don't score that many goals. It's not like I'm a big, massive, danger on corners, but I knew this one. I just knew I had a chance. They was marking us loosely, and I kind of knew where Rambo was going to put the ball. And then after that, it just all goes so quick. And I remember I aimed for in between. I think it was Kevin De Bruyne and the post, and then it went. That's exactly where it went, which is a little with a header, especially for me. It's a little bit like, wow, it actually went where I wanted it to go. and then the rest of it's just a blur. And then I've watched it back, so then obviously I wheel off and then run to the group on the bench. So we were so tight, and everyone follows. And that, I think that 10 seconds there is one of my favourites of my career. I'm so fortunate to have a memory like that.
A perfect way to end our time together. I'm sure you're busy. You've got the kids there to go and look after in lockdown. But for now, Ashley Williams, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ashley Williams. Right then, our podcast series will continue from our houses here as the coronavirus crisis continues. As ever, we remind you to only go outside for food, for health reasons, or for work where it's absolutely necessary. Stay 2 meters away from anybody else and continue to wash your hands thoroughly. Stay safe, stay inside, and protect our NHS. Thank you very much from Downsy Towers here, and from Ashley Williams for episode 4 of the Robin's Nest podcast. That's it from us. Goodbye.